Welcome to another spine-chilling episode where we explore the darker side of the great outdoors. Today, we'll be diving into 5 terrifying camping horror stories that will make you think twice before setting up your tent in the wilderness. These tales come from real campers who experienced encounters they'll never forget. Some found rational explanations for their frightening experiences, while others are still haunted by questions that remain unanswered. So get comfortable, turn down the lights, and prepare yourself for 5 camping stories that might just keep you up tonight. Story 1: The Midnight Visitor. Jack and his girlfriend Mia decided to celebrate their anniversary with a weekend camping trip in the Blue Ridge Mountains. They found a secluded spot, far from the designated camping areas, wanting privacy for their special occasion. Their first day was perfect: hiking, swimming, and cooking over an open fire. As night fell, they retreated to their tent, falling asleep to the sounds of the forest. Around 3 a.m., Jack woke to what sounded like footsteps circling their tent. Thinking it might be an animal, he lay still, not wanting to wake Mia. But then the footsteps stopped, directly outside their tent. Jack held his breath as he watched a shadow cast against the tent wall, a human silhouette, standing motionless. For nearly an hour, the figure remained there, occasionally shifting position, but never leaving. Jack clutched his pocket knife, frozen in fear. Just before dawn, the shadow finally retreated. When morning came, Jack found footprints all around their campsite, along with a small carved wooden figure hanging from a nearby tree, directly facing their tent. They packed immediately and hiked back to civilization. Later, a park ranger informed them they had camped near an unmarked trail known locally as Watcher's Path, an area with a history of disappearances dating back 50 years. No one has ever been caught, but the wooden figures were a known calling card. Story 2: What Dwells in Blackwater Creek. 3 college friends, Ryan, Tyler, and Emma, decided to spend their spring break camping and fishing at Blackwater Creek, a remote spot known for its excellent trout fishing. The location required a full day's hike to reach, meaning they would have the area entirely to themselves. On their second night, after a successful day of fishing, they were roasting their catch when Ryan noticed something strange in the creek. The water, normally clear, seemed to be moving against the current in one small section. As they watched, what looked like dark tendrils began to emerge from the water's surface. Thinking it might be some kind of unusual plant, Emma approached the creek edge for a closer look. As soon as her flashlight beam hit the water, the shapes immediately submerged. That night, they were awakened by splashing sounds. Tyler's flashlight revealed wet, mud-like footprints leading from the creek to their campsite, circling their tents before returning to the water. The following morning, Emma developed a strange rash on her hands after refilling their water bottles from the creek. By that afternoon, she was feverish and delirious, mumbling about things moving under her skin. They abandoned their trip, carrying Emma on a makeshift stretcher. At the hospital, doctors found an unknown parasite in her bloodstream. Unlike anything they'd seen before, the creek was later investigated by environmental officials, who discovered high levels of an unidentifiable organic compound in the water. The area has since been closed to the public. Story 3: The Last Transmission. A group of 5 experienced hikers embarked on a week-long expedition in the Olympic National Forest, equipped with satellite phones and GPS devices. Their regular check-ins with family were consistent until the 4th day, when David, one of the hikers, called his wife in a panic. The recording of the call, later reviewed by park rangers, captured David's frightened voice. "Something's been following us since yesterday. We keep hearing these sounds, like something large moving through the trees, but it stops whenever we turn around. Last night it circled our camp for hours. Mike thinks it might be a bear, but..." The call then cut off abruptly. When the group failed to check in again, a search and rescue operation was launched. They found the campsite in disarray, tents torn open from the inside, equipment scattered, but no signs of the hikers. The most disturbing discovery was the satellite phone found half buried in mud, with one final voice memo recorded but never sent. The memo contained nothing but 7 seconds of the group's panicked breathing, followed by an inhuman sound that audio experts still cannot identify. It wasn't a known animal call, nor was it mechanical in nature. One expert described it as multiple vocals overlapping, almost like a chorus, but with frequencies outside normal parameters. 3 of the hikers were eventually found 2 days later, huddled in a cave 5 miles from their campsite, suffering from exposure and extreme shock. They had no recollection of what happened or how they got separated from the others. The remaining 2 hikers were never found, despite one of the most extensive searches in the park's history. Story 4. The Cabin in the Clearing. Marco and his brother Luis had been hiking through national forests on their annual trips since childhood. Now in their 30s, they decided to explore a lesser-known wilderness area in northern Montana. On their 3rd day, an unexpected snowstorm forced them to seek shelter. Through the blinding snow, they spotted a cabin in a clearing. Desperate for warmth, they approached the weathered structure. Finding no one inside, they decided to wait out the storm there. The cabin was sparsely furnished but contained odd items, dozens of old photographs pinned to the walls, all showing the same attractive young woman in clothing from different eras, dating from what appeared to be the 1920s through to modern day. More unsettling was that in each photo, she hadn't aged a day. As night fell, the brothers noticed that all the photos seemed to be taken at the exact spot where the cabin stood, yet no cabin appeared in any of them. Just before midnight, they heard soft footsteps on the porch. Luis opened the door, finding nothing but fresh footprints in the snow, leading from the forest to the cabin, but strangely, none leading away. That night, Marco woke to find Luis standing transfixed at the window, staring out into the darkness. When Marco approached, Luis turned, his face expressionless, eyes vacant. "She's calling me," he whispered, before walking out the door into the blizzard, wearing nothing but his sleepwear. Marco searched for hours, but couldn't find his brother. When the storm cleared the next day, search and rescue teams found no trace of Luis, nor could they locate the cabin Marco described. What they did find was a single photograph, half buried in the snow, showing Luis and the woman, both smiling, with the date of the previous day stamped in the corner. Story 5. The Thing in Yellow Mountain Cave. A team of 4 amateur spelunkers, Jesse, Amir, Cora, and Daniel, ventured into the largely unexplored cave system of Yellow Mountain. The caves were technically off-limits due to unstable geology, but the group, having explored caves together for years, believed their experience would keep them safe. 3 hours into their descent, they discovered a narrow passage that opened into a vast chamber, not documented on any of their maps. The chamber contained unusual rock formations that Amir, the geologist of the group, couldn't identify. Most strange were the perfectly symmetrical holes that lined the walls, each about 6 inches in diameter and seemingly too regular to be natural. As they explored further, their helmet lights began to flicker intermittently. Cora suggested they leave, but Jesse insisted they document their findings first. While setting up camera equipment, Daniel noticed something unusual. When their lights flickered, he could see what looked like bioluminescent movement deep within the holes. Suddenly, their lights went out completely. In the pitch darkness, they heard a sound like sand shifting all around them. When Jessie finally got her backup light working, they made a horrifying discovery. The holes in the walls were now empty. Whatever had been inside was now in the chamber with them. In their frantic escape, they became separated. Amir and Jessie made it out, but Cora and Daniel remained missing for 2 days before emerging from a different cave exit miles away. Both suffered from extreme dehydration and exposure, with thousands of tiny, perfectly circular bruises covering their bodies. neither would speak about what happened in the darkness of that chamber. Geological survey teams later attempted to locate the chamber, but found the passage had collapsed. Soil samples from Cora and Daniel's clothing contained an unknown organic compound that produced mild hallucinations when researchers were exposed to it. Yellow Mountain has since been permanently sealed off from public access. These 5 stories remind us that sometimes the greatest horrors aren't supernatural at all, but the very real dangers that can lurk in the wilderness. Whether you believe these accounts or not, they might make you think twice before venturing too far off the beaten path. Always tell someone where you're going. Bring proper safety equipment, and perhaps most importantly, trust your instincts when something doesn't feel right. If you enjoyed these terrifying camping tales, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more spine-tingling content. Leave a comment below, sharing your own creepy camping experiences. We might feature them in our next video. Until next time, sleep tight, if you can.